I've lived in 4 different continents and 4 different countries for at least 1 year. So, part five, I'm back in London for the second time ever. And this time, I love my school. I'm making friends. I'm socializing. But London is so freaking expensive. And on top of that, for the first 3 months in London, you guys, I was Airbnb hopping because I cannot find accommodation that would take me, because a lot of the accommodation, they'll only take you if you can give them 6 months worth of rent, or if you have like a UK guarantor. They don't allow like guarantors from outside of the UK. So I ended up finding student accommodation that was willing to take me in and was willing to accept a guarantor that wasn't from the UK. So now London is getting expensive. I do have housing. I'm settled in. I'm loving my school. I'm having a fun time, y'all. I was going to the club. I was going to like restaurants. Like, I was really living up everything that I didn't do. Like, I didn't see the freaking London Eye during the day. I didn't like visit all the touristy attractions during the day. So I was doing all of that. So my school is in a quarter system, and like, it was really fast moving, and every week we had like different projects, we had different business plans and business strategy presentations every week. It wasn't like hard. It was just like all the group work was just a lot, and all the paperworks and all the papers that we do every week. It was kind of moving fast. It was intense. Okay, so we go into quarter number two, and this time, y'all, London is catching up to me, and I still love being outside. And I decided to get a part time job. Okay, so my part time job, oh my gosh, I love this. Like, if you guys ever do like your master's in a different country, I definitely recommend getting a part time job. A good amount of people that I knew had jobs because, like, girl, it's expensive. For your student loan through FAFSA, you can get enough money to cover some of your personal, like, care and like rent and food, but you still need like more money. Like, London is expensive. Like, that's something that I wish I would have planned better for. I get a job, I'm like a makeup artist at a Bare Minerals counter, and I love that job. Like, I love that job so much because I feel like that was my opportunity to really connect with British people on a subject that I love so much, which is makeup. And I finally got to make friends with like the people in the UK. I remember I was friends with like the person at Too Faced counter, as well as like the girl who was running Fenty, as well as like another guy who was running Chunk Elephant. Like, all these little other counters that were by, like, people were just so friendly, and they would talk to me, and so like we would talk about like the differences in our cultures, and like I learned a lot from them. And even just interacting with people on the day-to-day basis, like getting to know like just how international London truly is. Like, people come to London, live there, travel there from all over the world. So I got to meet people on the counter from all over the world as well. Once I got that job, I was outside even more. Like, I was at different concerts. I went to the Beyonce concert, the SZA concert. Like, when I tell you guys, I like took my experience from my first study abroad program, and I like tripled it. You know, like, I made it 10 times better than what it could have ever been. So I remember like I was traveling to other countries because in the UK it's really inexpensive to get around, especially if you're doing it in a group. If you're doing it individually, I feel like it adds up with the cost. But like Morocco, oh my gosh, Morocco is like my favorite country, that one of my favorite countries that I've ever been to. And that one, like, you go there, the accommodation is not too expensive, the flight is not too expensive, like, being there and spending money is not too expensive. Like, that's one of the least expensive options, and it's so freaking gorgeous. I got to see Barcelona. It was such a fun time that second time in London. However, with London, reality starts kicking in. I feel like studying abroad there is one thing, but like getting a job and like staying there forever is a struggle that I just could never imagine. Towards the end of like my program, I started applying for jobs in London, and for the most part I did not hear back. I was mainly going for the beauty industry jobs, and yeah, for the most part people were telling me, hey, if you want to work here, you need to accept this salary, or you need to be like brought down positions, like you need to be able to accept a lower position. So what really marked the end of my London era was my inability to get a full-time job there. You can get like the 2-year graduate visa after you graduate, which I applied for, but by the time I got it, I was so exhausted with London, the job search process, and the salaries. Like, if I was quoted a salary, it was so low. I don't know how people survive there financially. So I was just looking at this, and I was like, honestly, in my career right now, like, this is not what I'm willing to accept. It's not really what I want. I was just thinking, like, let me keep this job search going a little bit longer and see what I get. And I was like, but I'm tired of London. And my sister, guess what? My sister who studied abroad in Perth, Australia, she met her husband there. And so she met her husband there, she moved there, and she's living there. She's loving Perth. And I'm like, I'm kind of embarrassed to go back to the US because I felt like a failure for not being able to survive in London. So my sister's like, why don't you come to Australia? Well, actually, I asked her to come because she had told me that she had a dream that I was living with her in Australia. So I was like, yeah, let me come for 3 months. I can continue doing my UK job search here, and hopefully I'll get something and I'll be back in London. So I go to Australia. Like, the process to go to Australia is super simple. I got like the 90-day visa that they give to anyone who's there for tourist attractions. I literally decided on like October 31st, and by November 7th I was on a flight to Perth, Australia. And I'm thinking, I left like a suitcase in London. I'm thinking I'm gonna come back real quick. Like, this is gonna be a quick little trip. So I continue my job search in London. Now I'm actually kind of getting more interviews and more recruiters in my inbox. But each time I read the salary, I'm like, what the hell? Like, what the hell? It's so bad, so much so that I had one interview for a company that I had worked for in the US, and they were basically was like, yeah, you need to take a lower level position and you need to have less salary expectations in order for you to work with us. We have a whole bunch of other positions, but if you're willing to accept those, we would love to move forward with you, but if you're not, this is not gonna work. And so I feel like as the months went by in Australia, like, my dream of being back in London just died. And then each time my 90-day visa would expire, I would literally go to one of the Asian countries. So first I went to Thailand for one of my friend's birthday. She was already going there, so we met up there, and I hadn't seen her in a year. So met her in Thailand. Then the next 90 days, my visa expired. I went to Bali with my sister, and then the third time my visa expired, I did a solo trip in Singapore. So like, my world was just like out of nowhere. Like, this is something that I could have not planned for. Out of nowhere, I'm like traveling Asia, I'm living in Australia, and my sister, she ended up getting pregnant. So I'm like, my trip is getting extended. Also, this time I had like a freelancing social media role, so I was able to make money. And I remember even for like one of the times that I came back from one of the trips, like, they asked me like, how are you affording life? And because I had like that job and like I could show that I wasn't getting income from Australia, they were okay with it and they never bothered me again. But that first time was scary and they did make me cry. Do a part six. Part six, we're gonna talk about Australia, and then we're also gonna talk about, like, just wrap up the whole experience, everything that I've learned, and yeah.